Section 4 of Tractatus Logico Philosophicus. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jeffrey Edwards. Tractatus Logico Philosophicus by Ludwig Wittgenstein. Translated by C.K. Ogden. Section 4. 5.502. Therefore, I write instead of quote, bracket, dash, 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 capital T, close bracket, bracket, xi, comma, dot, 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 close bracket, close quote, capital N, bracket, line over xi, close bracket, close quote. Capital N, bracket, line over xi, close bracket, is the negation of all the values of the propositional variable xi. 5.503. As it is obviously easy to express how propositions can be constructed by means of this operation, and how propositions are not to be constructed by means of it, this must be capable of exact expression. 5.51. If xi has only one value, then N, bracket, line over xi, close bracket, equals not symbol p, bracket, not p, close bracket. If it has two values, then N, bracket, line over xi, close bracket, equals not symbol p and symbol not symbol q, bracket, neither p nor q, close bracket. 5.511. How can the all-embracing logic which mirrors the world use such special catches and manipulations? Only because all these are connected into an infinitely fine network, to the great mirror. 5.512. Quotes not symbol p is true if quotes p is false. Therefore, in the true proposition, quotes not symbol p, quotes p is a false proposition. How then can the stroke, quotes not symbol, bring it into agreement with reality? That which denies in quotes not symbol p is however not quotes not symbol, but that which all signs of this notation, which deny p, have in common. Hence, the common rule according to which quotes not symbol p, quotes not symbol not symbol not symbol p, quotes not symbol p or symbol not symbol p, quotes not symbol p and symbol not symbol p, etc. etc. bracket to infinity, close bracket, are constructed, and this which is common to them all mirrors denial. 5.513. We could say, what is common to all symbols, which asserts both p and q, is the proposition, quote, p and symbol q, close quote. What is common to all symbols, which asserts either p or q, is the proposition, quote, p or symbol q, close quote. And similarly, we can say, two propositions are opposed to one another when they have nothing in common with one another, and every proposition has only one negative, because there is only one proposition which lies altogether outside it. Thus in Russell's notation also it appears evident that quote, q, p, or symbol, not symbol p, close quote, says the same thing as quotes q, that quote, p, or symbol, not symbol p, close quote, says nothing. 5.514. If a notation is fixed, there is in it a rule according to which all the propositions denying p are constructed. A rule according to which all the propositions asserting p are constructed. A rule according to which all the propositions asserting p or q are constructed, and so on. These rules are equivalent to the symbols, and in them their sense is mirrored. 5.515. It must be recognized in our symbols that what is connected by quotes or symbol, quotes and symbol, etc. must be propositions. And this is the case for the symbols quotes P and quotes Q presuppose quotes or symbol, quotes not symbol, etc. If the sign quotes P in quote P or symbol Q close quote does not stand for a complex sign, then by itself it cannot have sense. But then also the signs quote P or symbol P close quote, quote P and symbol P close quote, etc., which have the same sense as quotes P have no sense. If, however, quote P or symbol P close quote has no sense, then also quote P or symbol Q close quote can have no sense. 5.5151. Must the sign of the negative proposition be constructed by means of the sign of the positive? Why should one not be able to express the negative proposition by means of a negative fact? Bracket, like, if quotes A does not stand in a certain relation to quotes B, it could express that A capital R B is not the case, close bracket. But here also the negative proposition is indirectly constructed with the positive. The positive proposition must presuppose the existence of the negative proposition, and conversely. 5.52. If the values of xi are the total values of a function fx for all values of x, then N bracket line over xi close bracket equals not symbol bracket there exists symbol x close bracket and symbol fx. 5.521. I separate the concept all from the truth function. Frege and Russell have introduced generality in connection with the logical product of the logical sum. Then it would be difficult to understand the propositions quote bracket there exists symbol x close bracket and symbol fx close quote and quote bracket x close bracket and symbol fx close quote, in which both ideas lie concealed. 5.522. That which is peculiar to the quote symbolism of generality close quote is firstly that it refers to a logical prototype, and secondly that it makes constants prominent. 5.523. The generality symbol occurs as an argument. 5.524. If the objects are given, therewith are all objects also given. If the elementary propositions are given, then therewith all elementary propositions are also given. 5.525. It is not correct to render the proposition quote bracket there exists symbol x close bracket and symbol fx close quote, as Russell does in the words quote fx is possible close quote. Certainty, possibility, or impossibility of a state of affairs are not expressed by a proposition, but by the fact that an expression is a tautology, a significant proposition, or a contradiction. That precedent to which one must always appeal must be present in the symbol itself. 5.526. One can describe the world completely by completely generalized propositions. In essence, without from the outset coordinating any name with a definite object. In order then to arrive at the customary way of expression, we need simply say after an expression, quote, there is one and only one x which, ... close quote, the words, quote, and that x is A, close quote. 5.5261. A completely generalized proposition is like every other proposition composite. Bracket. This is shown by the fact that in quote bracket there exists symbol x, comma, phi, close bracket, end symbol, phi x, close quote, we must mention phi and x separately. Both stand independently in signifying relations to the world as in the ungeneralized proposition. Close bracket. A characteristic of a composite symbol. It has something in common with other symbols. 5.5262. The truth or falsehood of every proposition alters something in the general structure of the world, and the range which is allowed to its structure by the totality of elementary propositions is exactly that which the completely general propositions delimit. If an elementary proposition is true, then, at any rate, there is one more elementary proposition true. Close bracket. 5.53. Identity of the object are expressed by identity of the sign, and not by means of a sign of identity. Difference of the objects by difference of the signs. 5.5301. That identity is not a relation between objects is obvious. This becomes very clear if, for example, one considers the proposition, x, close bracket, colon, fx, end symbol, imply symbol, end symbol, x equals a, close quote. What this proposition says is simply that only a satisfies the function f, and not that only such things satisfy the function f which have a certain relation to a. One could of course say that in fact only a has this relation to a, but in order to express this, we should need the sign of identity itself. 5.5302. Russell's definition of equal symbol won't do, because according to it one cannot say that two objects have all their properties in common. Even if this proposition is never true, it is nevertheless significant. 5.5303. Roughly speaking, to say of two things that they are identical is nonsense, and to say of one thing that it is identical with itself is to say nothing. 5.531. I write therefore not, f bracket a comma b close bracket end symbol a equals b close quote, but f bracket a comma a close bracket close quote, bracket or f bracket b comma b close bracket close quote close bracket, and not f bracket a comma b close bracket end symbol not symbol a equals b close quote, but f bracket a comma b close bracket close quote. 5.532. And analogously, not bracket there exists symbol x comma y close bracket and symbol f bracket x comma y close bracket and symbol x equals y close quote, but bracket there exists symbol x close bracket and symbol f bracket x comma x close bracket close quote, and not bracket there exists symbol x comma y close bracket and symbol f bracket x comma y close bracket and symbol not symbol x equals y close quote, but bracket there exists symbol x comma y close bracket and symbol f bracket x comma y close bracket close quote. Therefore, instead of Russell's bracket there exists symbol x comma y close bracket and symbol f bracket x comma y close bracket close quote, we get bracket, there exists symbol x, comma, y, close bracket, and symbol f bracket x, comma, y, close bracket, and symbol, or symbol, and symbol, bracket, there exists symbol x, close bracket, and symbol f bracket x, comma, x, close bracket, close quote. 5.5321. Instead of quote, bracket x, close bracket, colon, fx implies symbol x equals a, close quote, we therefore write, for example, quote, bracket, there exists symbol x, close bracket, and symbol fx, and symbol implies symbol, and symbol fa, colon, not symbol, bracket, there exists symbol x, comma, y, close bracket, and symbol fx, and symbol fy, close quote. And if the proposition, quote, only one x satisfies f, bracket, close bracket, close quote, reads, quote, bracket, there exists symbol x, close bracket, and symbol fx, colon, not symbol, bracket, there exists symbol x, comma, y, close bracket, and symbol fx, and symbol fy, close quote. 5.533. The identity sign is therefore not an essential constituent of logical notation. 5.534. And we see that the apparent propositions like, quote, a equals a, close quote, quote, a equals b, and symbol b equals c, and symbol implies symbol a equals c, close quote, quote, bracket x, close bracket, and symbol x equals x, close quote, quote, bracket, there exists symbol x, close bracket, and symbol x equals a, close quote, etc. cannot be written in a correct logical notation at all. 5.535. So all such problems disappear which are connected with such pseudo-propositions. This is the place to solve all the problems which arise through Russell's, quote, axiom of infinity, close quote. What the axiom of infinity is meant to say would be expressed in language by the fact that there is an infinite number of names with different meanings. 5.5351. There are certain cases in which one is tempted to use expressions of the form, quote, a equals a, close quote, or, quote, p implies symbol p, close quote, as for instance, when one would speak of the archetype, proposition, thing, etc. So Russell in the Principles of Mathematics has rendered the nonsense, quote, p is a proposition, close quote, in symbols by, quote, p implies symbol p, close quote, and has put it as a hypothesis before certain propositions to show that their places for arguments could only be occupied by propositions. Bracket, it is nonsense to place the hypothesis p implies symbol p before a proposition in order to ensure that its arguments have the right form, because the hypothesis for a non-proposition as argument becomes not false but meaningless, and because the proposition itself becomes senseless for arguments of the wrong kind, and therefore it survives the wrong arguments no better and no worse than the senseless hypothesis attached for this purpose, close bracket. 5.5352. Similarly, it was proposed to express, quote, there are no things, close quote, by, quote, not symbol, bracket, there exists symbol x, close bracket, and symbol x equals x, close quote. But even if this were a proposition, would it not be true if indeed, quote, there were things, close quote, but these were not identical with themselves? 5.54. In the general propositional form, propositions occur in a proposition only as bases of the truth operations. 5.541. At first sight it appears as if there were also a different way in which one proposition could occur in another, especially in certain propositional forms of psychology, like, quote, capital A thinks that P is the case, close quote, or, quote, capital A thinks P, close quote, etc. Here it appears superficially as if the proposition P stood to the object capital A in a kind of relation, bracket, and in modern epistemology, bracket, Russell, Moore, etc., close bracket, those propositions have been conceived in this way, close bracket. 5.542. But it is clear that, quote, capital A believes that P, close quote, quote, capital A thinks P, close quote, quote, capital A says P, close quote, are of the form, quote, quotes P, says P, close quote. And here we have no coordination of a fact and an object, but a coordination of facts by means of a coordination of their objects. 5.5421. This shows that there is no such thing as the soul, the subject, etc., as it is conceived in superficial psychology. A composite soul would not be a soul any longer. 5.5422. The correct explanation of the form of the proposition, quote, capital A judges P, close quote, must show that it is impossible to judge a nonsense, bracket, Russell's theory does not satisfy this condition, close bracket. 5.5423. To perceive a complex means to perceive that its constituents are combined in such and such a way. Reader's note. A Necker cube is drawn with the top left corner labeled B, the top right corner labeled B, the upper middle left corner labeled A, the upper middle right corner labeled A, the lower middle left corner labeled B, the lower middle right corner labeled B, and the bottom left corner labeled A, and the bottom right corner labeled A. This perhaps explains that the figure can be seen in two ways, as a cube, and all similar phenomena. For we really see two different facts, bracket, if I fix my eyes first on the corners A and only glance at B, A appears in front and B behind, and vice versa, close bracket. 5.55. We must now answer a priori the question as to all possible forms of the elementary propositions. The elementary proposition consists of names. Since we cannot give the number of names with different meanings, we cannot give the composition of the elementary proposition. 5.551. Our fundamental principle is that every question which can be decided at all by logic can be decided offhand, bracket, and if we get into a situation where we need to answer such a problem by looking at the world, this shows that we are on a fundamentally wrong track, close bracket. 5.552. The, quotes, experience which we need to understand logic is not that such and such is the case, but that something is. But that is no experience. Logic precedes every experience, that something is so. It is before the how, not before the what. 5.5521. And if this were not the case, how could we apply logic? We could say, if there were a logic, even if there were no world, how then could there be a logic, since there is a world? 5.553. Russell said that there were simple relations between different numbers of things, bracket, individuals, close bracket. But between what numbers, and how should this be decided? By experience. Bracket, there is no preeminent number, close bracket. 5.554. The enumeration of any special forms would be entirely arbitrary. 5.5541. How could we decide a priori whether, for example, I can get into a situation in which I need to symbolize with the sign of a 27-termed relation? 5.5542. May we then ask this at all? Can we set out a sign form and not know whether anything can correspond to it? Has the question sense? What must there be in order that anything can be the case? 5.555. It is clear that we have a concept of the elementary proposition apart from its special logical form. Where, however, we can build symbols according to a system, there this system is the logically important thing, and not the single symbols. And how would it be possible that I should have to deal with forms in logic which I can invent? But I must have to deal with that which makes it possible for me to invent them. 5.556. There cannot be a hierarchy of the forms of the elementary propositions. Only that which we ourselves construct can we foresee. 5.5561. Empirical reality is limited by the totality of objects. The boundary appears again in the totality of elementary propositions. The hierarchies are and must be independent of reality. 5.5562. If we know on purely logical grounds that there must be elementary propositions, then this must be known by everyone who understands propositions in their unanalyzed form. 5.5563. All propositions of our colloquial language are actually, just as they are, logically completely in order. The simple thing which we ought to give here is not a model of the truth, but the complete truth itself. Our problems are not abstract, but perhaps the most concrete that there are. 5.557. The application of logic decides what elementary propositions there are. What lies in its application logic cannot anticipate. It is clear that logic may not conflict with its application, but logic must have contact with its application. Therefore logic and its application may not overlap one another. 5.5571. If I cannot give elementary propositions a priori, then it must lead to obvious nonsense to try to give them. 5.6. The limits of my language means the limits of my world. 5.61. Logic fills the world. The limits of the world are also its limits. We cannot therefore say in logic, this and this there is in the world, that there is not. For the world apparently presupposes that we exclude certain possibilities, and this cannot be the case, since otherwise logic must get outside the limits of the world, that is, if it could consider these limits from the other side also. What we cannot think, that we cannot think. We cannot therefore say what we cannot think. 5.62. This remark provides a key to the question to what extent solipsism is a truth. In fact, what solipsism means is quite correct, only it cannot be said, but it shows itself. That the world is my world shows itself in the fact that the limits of the language, the language which I understand, means the limits of my world. 5.621. The world and life are one. 5.63. I am my world, the microcosm, 5.631. The thinking, presenting subject, there is no such thing. If I wrote a book, the world as I found it, I should also have therein to report on my body, and say which members obey my will, and which do not, etc. This then would be a method of isolating the subject, or rather, of showing that in an important sense there is no subject. That is to say, of it alone in this book mention could not be made. 5.632. The subject does not belong to the world, but it is a limit of the world. 5.633. Where in the world is a metaphysical subject to be noted? You say that this case is altogether like that of the eye and the field of sight, but you do not really see the eye. And from nothing in the field of sight can it be concluded that it is seen from an eye. 5.6331. For the field of sight has not a form like this. Reader's note. An illustration depicts a chicken egg-shaped oval with a tiny circle representing the eye at the small end of the oval. The eye is inside the oval. End reader's note. 5.634. This is connected with the fact that no part of our experience is also a priori. Everything we see could also be otherwise. Everything we describe at all can also be otherwise. There is no order of things a priori. 5.64. Here we see that solipsism, strictly carried out, coincides with pure realism. The I in solipsism shrinks to an extensionless point, and there remains the reality co-ordinated with it. 5.641. There is therefore really a sense in which philosophy can talk of a non-psychological I. The I occurs in philosophy through the fact that the world is my world. The philosophical I is not the man, not the human body or the human soul of which psychology treats, but the metaphysical subject, the limit, not a part of the world. End of section 4. Recording by Jeffrey Edwards.